Well, hello there, back again with another Lightroom 5 tutorial. This is a photograph I took about 18 months ago at a place up on Rannoch Moor. The mountain is the iconic Buchel Etive Moor, very popular with landscape photographers because it looks very mountain-like. A lot of people will do the mountain and get the waterfall as a kind of secondary feature, and I decided to do something different, to make the waterfall the main feature and the mountain as a backdrop. As you can see, this was a long exposure. In actual fact, I used my 10-stop filter and the exposure was just over a minute. One of the consequences of that is it does put a bit of a color cast on there, which is actually quite difficult to remove. You can try to remove it by using the eyedropper here, and the idea behind this is you either pick something which is white or black or a mid-tone grey, something like maybe there might be a good starting point, and you can clearly see the effect that it's had. I still think it's got a bit of a colour cast to it, and I'm not too keen on that particular rendition. So after spending some time trying to sort out the colour cast, I decided that maybe this would be better as a monochrome photo. So I'm just going to reset that, and we'll go to the black and actually before I go to the black and white tab, let's just set some of the highlights and the shadows and the white and black points. As we can see from the photo, we're right up against the right hand edge of the histogram, which would suggest we've perhaps got some blown highlights. Now, I happen to know my camera pretty well, and I know that I can actually push the histogram just a little bit and still retain detail. It looks to me like we may have lost something in the blues. I don't know if you can just see the highlight warning here, but I don't see any blue highlights in the image at all, at least no obvious ones. So that suggests to me we have quite a lot of detail here. So let's pull down the exposure, just like that, and we'll pull down the highlights. We'll boost the shadows because I can get some light back into the shadow areas, and then we just need to set the white and black points. So I'm going to do this with shift and double clicking the whites and blacks. So already that's got quite a bit of contrast back in it. I'm just going to push the clarity up a little bit. I can go fairly high on this, and I'm also going to do lens corrections on this photo. If I show you this edge here, we can see there's a greenish fringe between the mountain and the sky, and that's chromatic aberration. So we'll just fix that and just zoom out again, and I'm going to fix the lens as well, so we can get rid of there's some slight vignetting going on due to the lens. So let's just get rid of the chromatic aberration. We'll do the profile, and it's correctly chosen the lens. It's always worthwhile checking that because sometimes it does make a mistake, but I did use the Canon 17-40 wide angle lens on this, and if we go back and check, we should see that the chromatic aberration has gone, which it has. That's good. So we'll start with this. So now we'll click on black and white. That's made a pretty actually I've just clicked the wrong panel. Click on black and white. That's it, it's in there. So clicking on black and white in the HSL also sets the black and white in here. What I want to do is bring in a neutral density filter because I would really like to darken the sky, and this will actually also graphically illustrate why I'm not too keen on using a neutral density filter out in the field. But here we go anyway. So we can see in here that my exposure was left from last time. It's half a stop overexposed, which is too bright for that sky. So let's pull it down maybe as far as, well, perhaps there as well. That's gone down just over a stop, but we can see the effect it's had on the mounting. And if I remove the mouse out of the way, we can actually see where the transition is, which is not that desirable. But we'll try and do something to fix that. So that's done a bit to my sky. We'll do some more work on that shortly and get some more detail there. But I want to sort out that mounting first. So I'm going to use the adjustment brush for this. We click on the adjustment brush. It's already set the exposure up a little bit, so I'm just going to push it a little bit more, and we'll do contrast as well. Notice this time I've got quite a wide feather. The reason for the feather is so I can actually try and make it not so obvious that I've used a brush here. So let's just brush in some light onto the mountain here. Being careful to not go over the edge of the mountain into the sky. And we can actually put some more contrast in on this, and we'll also put in some clarity on it. And maybe we'll just pull exposure down a little, just a touch. That's looking better. I think maybe let's push the exposure back up again. I think what I might do is, if we press the H button, and we'll highlight, see the pin. What I might do is I might just duplicate that brushwork, and we'll on this so we've now got two applications of the brush that we've just done, and I'm still now working on the second application. I'm just going to pull this back because I don't want it quite so bright. Actually, I'm not sure. Well, sometimes you have to try these things to see whether they're actually going to work for you or not. This one I don't think is working, so let's get rid of that application. We'll just leave the original one there, which is actually looking not too bad. And I will do a new brush, but this time I'm just going to do contrast. Yeah, that's looking alright. So looking much better. I will do another new brush because of what I want to do as well is to get some contrast into these rocks, and I'm just going to boost the contrast. We'll boost clarity as well. And I'm just going to hit the sharpness just to get a bit more sharpness into these rocks, making sure that auto mask is switched on so I don't go off into the water. And we can do these rocks. I don't know whether this will come out so well on the video, but I can see quite clearly that I'm getting some more definition into these. In fact, I might just push that contrast up a bit more. Being a monochrome photo, we can do quite a lot with contrast. We can almost go over the top with it, and it will work quite well. Won't be too bad. I'm just going to do some work in the foliage here to make that a little bit more obvious. There's quite a lot of detail and interest in this area here, a lot of texture. And we'll just do this central rock here in the middle of the waterfall, and that's not looking too bad. So that's got the brushwork done. So I've done a little bit of brushing. I'm going to do a new brush because I want to do the sky as well, and so we'll just brush in the sky here. And for this one I'm going to bring the exposure down also, but let's just paint around, see if I've missed anywhere, and I have clearly, so let's just paint you in. So all I did was I just held the mouse over the pin for the current area that I'm brushing, and we can see that we get a red highlight which shows me where where I've painted, where my mask has gone. So let's do that again. That's alright, looking okay. I'm not going to worry too much about this area in the trees here because it doesn't actually appear that obvious there. So that's got that in. I'm going to actually pull down the exposure just a bit on that brush, and again I'm going to boost the contrast, boost clarity, and actually probably not that much. Let's just bring the exposure up, and we'll just bring the contrast down, because I was beginning to see the join there, which is not desirable. Let's pull that contrast back down a bit more, and just pull that exposure back up a bit, somewhere around there. Okay, we'll go with that. And then the last thing I want to do on this, or two things I want to do with this, I want to add some sharpening. So let's just sharpen the photo, and I'll do my usual trick. So we'll push the sharpening up, and then we'll mask first. So we'll hold down the mask, and then we'll mask out the areas that I don't want sharpened. So something like that, and then we'll just push the luminance up just a touch. And while I was doing that, I noticed that I had a few dust spots. So let's cure those dust spots. We'll do the usual thing of the spot removal tool, make sure it's on heal, and then we can just play with the slider here to highlight where the dust spots are, and we can see I've got one there, I have one here, I have one there. Come on, because I'm using screen capture software, it's actually just a little bit laggy in actually doing these points. So I've got another one just here. In your own time. Thank you. So we'll just push that backwards and forwards, make sure I've got everything. I think I have. Now you may say, well, that doesn't matter too much because you can't see them, but as I've said before, if I was going to print it, then you absolutely would see it. And then the last thing I'm going to do just to close this off is I'm going to put a very subtle vignette on here, something like that, something which is not too obvious, but it will help keep the eye within the photo, and in particular on this area in the middle here. And that's about it really. That's really all I want to do for this photo. So thank you for watching.